Welcome, and I'm so happy to see you here today on this lovely sunny day. I guess you've come to learn a little bit about our early life here in the village of Rochester. My name is Julia Pixley Vandeventer. I was born in 1830 in Monroe County, New York State. I was one of 13 children of Jonathan and Polly Pixley. When I was 8 years old, they decided they would move to this new territory of Rochester, Michigan. We all got on a canal boat on the Erie Canal. That was an exciting adventure for an 8-year-old. Came to Detroit and took an ox cart north to Rochester. It was a pretty rural area then. There weren't many people. We worked on the farm. I had to milk cows and gather eggs. And we didn't see very many other people. But when I was 23 years old, I married George Vandeventer. George was the town carriage and wagon maker. And you know, in those days, that was our only transportation. George and I had 2 children, a boy and a girl. And George was very active on the village council. In fact, 2 different times, I was the first lady of Rochester when George was the council president. Well, all was going so well until 1875 when tragedy struck. Our lovely home at Pine and 3rd was burned to ashes. In those days, there was no water department. Everybody had their fire bucket. Our friends came with their fire buckets and tried to put out the fire, but of course, it didn't work. Well, you don't have to feel too badly for us because George built us another lovely home, which is still standing, by the way. But he went back to the village council and tried to convince them to spend some money on some sort of fire prevention, and they would not do it. We lost a lot of buildings here in the Rochester area. We lost the Pavilion Hotel, we lost the Universalist Church, and worst of all, we lost the Rochester paper mill. Now, I think Mrs. Barnes has told you a little bit about that. It was a demented woman, I'm sorry to say, who lit the fire, and before the buckets could get there, the whole place burned to the ground. Well, in 1882, finally, the town council agreed to spend some money on fire protection devices and to hire a fire marshal. But it was not until 1895 when Rochester got a municipal water system that we actually had a fire department. And all those years, those 20 years, my husband George worked on getting a fire department for the village of Rochester. So if you have ever had to use the facilities of that fire department, please remember to thank George. He and I lived our lives out in this lovely community. I was 79 years old when I died after having a bout of dropsy, and George followed me soon after. I really appreciate your coming to see me, and I hope you enjoy visiting my friend Mrs. Drace across the road.